Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. Before we get started today, I just wanted to acknowledge, and we have a guest today, so we're not going to go too deep into that, but to those that knew and loved the man that we knew as Bishop Bernardin Bragg 4 years ago today. He transitioned, and so I just want to acknowledge that. We'll probably talk a little bit, share some pictures and stuff toward the end after we finish with my guest this morning. But last month, we had the opportunity to speak to a good brother that I've been chatting with, got a chance to lay on his table and get some body work done. And we started a real conversation around the theme of woke wellness. And we had a little conversation around how I define woke and what he looks at woke, and we just defined what that was, and we may review that just a little bit. But today, Brother Karland is back with us, and I'll be very honest, a lot going on, and last minute getting some things together. But I texted him and I said, let's have a real conversation about how real we are with ourselves, about how we prioritize our wellness. It's becoming a trend, and it's a sexy word, and a lot of people are talking about it on social media and, drink your water and go for walks. But are we really prioritizing it in a manner that's having an impact? And you all know I'm on a journey. And so there may be some self-revealing moments in this conversation today. And so, Brother Karland, we're going to bring him in. Do me a favor and hit share and invite some folks to be in the Java Cafe with us this morning. And let's bring in our good friend and brother Karland Barrett of Three Body Wellness. What's up, brother?
Morning, guys. Morning. How you doing? Morning, Jimmy.
How are you, man?
Still pretty good.
I said
when you got me up early in the morning.
Got you up early in the morning and sitting up against the wall of Jesus.
Yeah.
But it is good to have you back. We got a lot of good feedback.
Oh, excellent.
This month. I was just looking at the thread with Brother Obi, yourself and I, and it got a lot of feedback just around the reality of, I guess, where a lot of us are in wellness, what we understand as wellness. And you talked a lot about the relationship of the past to our bodies and carrying stuff. And so it's just good to have you back, brother. How have you been doing in the last, actually, 30 days?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been actually pretty good. Business as well, lifestyle as well. So no major complaints. Just enjoying it as I go along.
Absolutely. And one of the other things we're going to talk about is, what is a healer? How do we define a healer as well? And so as we're introducing you to the audience, just tell us a little bit about yourself. I know we did last month, but there may be some new folks in the room. Just a little bit about yourself and Three Body Wellness too.
Yeah, thanks. So name's Karland, of course. 40 years old. I'm 40 years old. I've been in the wellness business now moving on 7 years. And the name of my business is Three Body Wellness. Previously it was 3R Massages. And it's just been a transition of growing and developing a brand, recognizing for myself that the brand and the business is not a permanent thing. And so it's been constantly evolving, constantly in this attempt to grow and reach like full realization of what it is that I want to do, or what it is that I'm trying to offer. And so we just recently rebranded to Three Body Wellness. It's my hope to be a little bit more encapsulating of wellness in the way that I see it and being woke and more aware of your body in the way that I see it. And right now, predominantly using that through the actual physical body to then use that connection in the other spaces of your emotions and just your energy and being as a whole individual.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to let folks, we're talking wellness and whatnot. So we're definitely chilling and relaxed as far as this topic, but we want to, the reason we keep talking about it is it's important. And we want to keep constantly waking, I guess, our knowledge base or whatever, or not whatever, but in relationship to wellness. And so for you right now in the moment, how would you define woke wellness? Because we had that we had that conversation of what we, woke, and the definition of it is evolved.
Yeah, the definition is definitely on a line, right? And different people coming at different places on that line. For me, that line is just the development of consciousness awareness more so than group awareness, I would say. So individual conscious awareness as opposed to being caught in the group and being on the standard of what everybody else is doing. So for me, it's, can I recognize the patterns that I'm using, the habits that exist, and the ways and reasons behind why I think about the things that I think about, or do the things that I'm thinking about, why and how. So for me, that's what awokeness or being awake, especially in the world of wellness and of self-care, what that definition is.
What, when, let's get into the conversation. And you and I have had some very intriguing, self-revealing, for me, great convos. And we did talk about it a little bit last month about, the sexiness and an approach of, it's trending to being well. From your perspective, sir, generally speaking, by your observation as someone that moves in the wellness space, how real do you think folks are really being with themselves around really prioritizing their wellness across the board?
Across the board. So I pause because it's a real question and not really always that easy to answer, right? But I'm going to try and do it from my perspective.
Yep.
Yeah. And so from my perspective, it's definitely more so about consistency versus kind of anything else. And so, we hear consistency, you got to be all the time, every time. And yes, that is definitely a form of consistency, but consistency is just being mentally aware of it, right? And then taking those steps every time that you become aware of it. So it doesn't might have to be every day, but every time that you're aware and present to it, you're actively engaging in trying to do something about it. So for me, that's what it really stems from. And then being and developing that consistency over time into growth and more is kind of where I sit when it comes towards like really identifying that. And so short term, it doesn't really sit for a lot of people because they're not being that consistent, right? So they might come once or twice, they might come, whether they might do something consistently for a little bit, but then they have the huge gaps of periods between actually maintaining that and doing that on a regular basis to become and develop that consistency. So I think that's where the lack is. And then there's so many different things that are associated with that because we just also really don't have the time. And it's not something that's ingrained in us right now to be a priority in terms of like maintaining that wellness or maintaining that health. And so that's where I think the fall off is. It's becoming new, it's becoming trendy. We are starting to find more time and commit more time to being in the space of like wellness and doing some of these things to create these new habits. But I think as a whole and as a dominant majority, we're not really practicing with that. We're not creating that space and time to really engage in that consistency of wellness.
From your perspective, because a lot of times folks have, and I put the word awakening in there, a lot of times it's through, let's just be honest, diagnosis, physical ailment or something. And for some, there's a switch and a push. And we'll go back to the piece about consistency. Actually, let me go back to that first. So from your, we often talk about giving ourselves grace.
Yep.
how do you define the balance of the reality that you named, why we have gaps? We'll go 2 or 3 days. I'll be honest, I'll go 2 or 3 days and I'm drinking a couple of these a day and I'm all set. Something happens, crisis, blah, 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 blah. You get off. And does that necessarily mean with mixing, giving ourselves grace, that we're not prioritizing it? Is it, we're talking woke wellness. And so we're talking about being real with ourselves. Where are you on the spectrum as far as consistency and grace? Let me ask it like that, because when you said the consistency and then balanced the reality of life,
Yeah.
I think it would be good for folks to hear your perspective to the balance of consistency and then when we're not consistent, giving grace, but then also being real about maybe some reasons why we weren't consistent. You know where this is going.
Yeah. My space is, and again, I can only really speak from my experiences, but it's this development of the full awareness to kind of understand that, okay, hey, I'm doing this work, or I've committed to doing this work. Maybe I'm not always as consistent or on point as I need to be.
Yep.
But because I've spent enough time to develop the awareness to a stage where maybe I'm not always present, but when I am present, it's a reminder that I'm on the right path or that I'm doing something that's beneficial to me. And then by like expansion, beneficial to everybody that's around me, right? Because if I'm healthy, if I'm doing the right things, maybe if some other people are seeing it, or maybe it's allowing me to interact with people in a different way, which is being reflective. And so it's developing that initial core of, yes, I'm going to do this journey, or yes, I'm going to make this effort. And yeah, you'll fall off and come back, fall off, come back. But once you have that foundation established of, I'm going to work to make this a change, then I think that's what allows for that period of grace. So when you do fall off and you realize you've fallen off, you're like, okay, well, it's a lifetime journey. It doesn't have to change tomorrow. It has to be something that I am willing to do in order to create some sort of change. And so, once I think people recognize that they want to make that change and have that foundation established of a beginning, a way of understanding how to make that change, then anytime they fall off and come back, I think they'll have enough of like, just, okay, well, I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do. I just have to keep going on that path. So anytime I fall off or get distracted, as long as I remember to come back, I can give myself that space to come back, as opposed to, man, I can't do this. I keep forgetting it every time. I'm just going to quit. And that's the opposite of not giving yourself grace, or the opposite of giving yourself not enough grace. So, yeah.
What I heard a little bit there was, and you can speak to this, a level of accountability. I think a lot of us do it sort of on our own. And yes, we can be accountable to ourselves, but is there any significance, wellness clubs, wellness partner, accountability partner? Do you think that that's helpful?
Definitely. I think we have to find what really works for us, right? I personally am a bit of a soloist. So I like to do things my own way and kind of experience it firsthand, and kind of develop it from there, right? And so if I do something, I know it works, and then I can continue. If I do something I know it doesn't work, maybe I'll try it 1 or 2 more times, but I know I can move on from that. And some people need the partnership. Some people I often need somebody to go to the gym with me, because I'm like, all right, more of a reason to go to the gym, right? And so in my wellness, definitely I could do better with being more consistent and being in the gym. Having a partner would be something that would help me do that. But then there are other times where I'm just like, all right, I just got to get up and go, and I'll go by myself. So, it's figuring out what works for you. So there are a lot of people that love to be around other people and love that engagement. And having that as a resource would be beneficial, because now you have accountability partners and somebody that's going to kind of pull you a little bit more, or reinforce all the things that you're doing, so that way you feel more established. Versus, especially if you have a harder time like getting up out of the bed in the morning and really engaging with yourself, to do some of these things.
Mhm.
I think that everybody has to find what works for them and develop that consistency.
That's one of the
Yeah.
things to sort of bring back because to go back to your earlier statement, I used to be like 260, and
Mhm.
my approach was that I wanted to make life changes, not a diet, not something for
Yep.
weeks and drop the weight. And I did it so bad, not so bad. It became such a habit of eating a certain way, which I
Yeah.
back to, that like I got like real small. I dropped down to like a good 165, 170. Like it enjoyed being skinty, but you know,
Mhm.
the sustainability of life changes, I think, is where I'll say for me is the struggle because I can tell that it's not hype. I think a lot of times when it's hype, the trendy thing, and then if you fall off, you don't give yourself grace because you really haven't maybe thought through the process. Like I did a habits and routine thing, like I'll be honest, 6 weeks ago, and it's taken me a long time. At least, like you said, build the foundation, and then be real with yourself, and maybe let's go a little bit deeper because we've had the grace conversation. This is woke wellness. Let's
Yeah.
have a deeper conversation about the accountability on the other side of only words I can kind of think of is copping out and excuses. We gave balance to life.
Hmm.
Let's talk about um, a little bit of choice and cop out and excuses on the other side when it's not grace, but we're just, I don't know what's another word opposite of grace. We're I don't know, copping out, making excuses. Let's talk about that a little bit. Why I'll just say it like this. Why we do that?
Jeez.
I'm
Um,
sorry. Hey,
yeah,
listen,
you're trying to get me get all the answers. And I don't really always have them. But
hey,
why do we cop out? I mean, there's so many different reasons, right? Patterns, habits of just how you're living your life, um, the stresses, right? You get distracted. There's so many different reasons. It's hard to say for an individual why we cop out. I think at the end of the day, it's again not establishing that foundation, right? You haven't put in the work and the effort long enough to say, oh, okay, this can actually work. Okay, I understand how to do this, or I really want to do this. And so I'm going to make these efforts. But when it's still brand new, you're still getting used to it, or you still don't really understand how it completely affects you or how it affects the larger universe of you, then you're going to shift in and out and you're not going to be as consistent. And if you lose interest, then you're going to move on to something else, right?
yep.
And so I think it's kind of hard to give a one liner as to why people cop out of situations. Patterning again, habit. How were you raised? Did you get motivated to do things as you were a child that reinforce that habit of being consistent and doing things, right? So there's a lot of different reasons. I can't really say specifically.
I'm just a little surprised because, and maybe because it's you and I,
Yeah,
uh, in our conversations, you go a little bit deeper around like the accountability piece, and so I sense a different level of grace being applied this morning. But no,
a
it
little
is
bit.
a little. Don't start. Um, let's talk a little bit about because not that you go around and all mystical, I'm a healer and things like that, but another part of this conversation, and one of the reasons why I kind of love how this segment is developing. And we've talked with people like Mike, and there were a couple of other Born and folks like that, Linda Wells.
Mhm.
Let's talk about, what is a healer body work by your definition? Because this all of these conversations and mental health Monday and body work and eating right and nutrition is to help us heal physically, mentally, from the past, from
Mhm.
something that happened yesterday. And so let's talk a little bit about like, do you consider yourself a healer?
Yeah, yeah, and that's a really good question. Thanks for asking. Um, this so for me, this stems back from the very first day I started working in the profession of body work and mindfulness and just try to be well. I started this journey for my own purposes of trying to understand more again about, what I was doing, how I was interacting with people, how I was engaging, why I was doing those things, and then whether or not I wanted to change them or how I could go about changing them once I recognized that, okay, I want to do this different or I want to engage in a different space. And so this journey brought me into the space where I was doing these things for myself. I had the skill set that I recognized that I could use to continue to help myself, but in a financial capacity. And that was providing services for other people. And that's where the work started. Okay. And then people recognized that, and several statements, oh, wow, you're a healer, you're doing this, you're doing that. And from day one, that term never really sat with me, right? I didn't really know how to fully embrace it or accept it, because how could you say that I'm a healer for you when I'm still over here trying to figure out what I'm doing and how I'm living my life?
Yes, sir.
And if I'm actually healed or not. And so in the very early stages of learning and trying to understand what that all meant, I wanted to stay away from this idea of me being a healer and doing all these other things. I was like, listen, I'm a massage therapist. That's what I went to school for. I do body work. I learn how to stretch you and engage you. And so it took me the 7 years of building this practice and recognizing all these things to come to understand that we're all healers. We're all individual healers. We're all healers of ourselves. And it's through this process and understanding that I'm healing myself. And because I'm healing myself and understanding these different structures and understanding in my own perspective of what kind of works for me and how I can share that with other people, I'm giving space and I'm allowing and giving that grace to allow other people to help heal themselves. And now in that, with helping people to heal themselves, I kind of hold a small space of facilitation where I get to introduce you to maybe concepts and ideas that you've never heard before, or awareness of your body that you've never experienced before. And it's really just creating a foundation for you to say, oh, I know how to do this now. I know how to fix this now. I know how to engage in this space. And so I don't necessarily think that I'm a healer out here healing people and fixing people and getting them back to where they need to be. But I do really feel like I'm healing myself through the work that I do for me. And I'm healing myself through the work that I do for other people, because it's giving me experience that I might not have had before, or I might not have had if I hadn't been engaged with that person. And that's allowing me to heal, and vice versa. That's allowing them to heal once they're willing to take those steps, once they're willing to be engaged, once they're willing to hold themselves accountable to say, hey, this is my body, this is my experience, and what and how I go about it is entirely based on me. And so that's what I think the big separation is. We are constantly looking for other people to come in and fix the situation, do the things, heal us, right? But if we're not willing to take accountability and take responsibility for anything that happens with us, then we're not going to change. And so I don't prescribe to being a healer for other people. I prescribe to being a healer for myself. And I recognize that everybody has the capacity to do that. And then along the line, we'll have teachers, we'll have guides, we'll have just a support system who are able to help us engage to a deeper level or to a new level that we haven't done before. And then that allows us to heal even more. So
there's so many thoughts there. One is like a sense of level of humility, and it's a big responsibility to have, within our community and whatnot, from the concept of village and whatnot, to take on that title as a healer is huge.
Yeah.
The other thing that I thought about while you were talking was the struggle. Yes, life, we've named it. We talked about grace. I guess the word that comes up as we get ready to wrap up, and I want to make sure we put website and information up for folks to contact you. You can't have this conversation, Karland, without talking about self-value or self-worth, only because, and I'll, on this journey, I think we've talked about, I'm going to be transparent about, some stuff we've talked about and you've helped me with, is if not if. Yeah, okay. If we knew fully how much we were worth and were able to fully value ourselves, wouldn't we be a little more prone to jump on taking care of ourselves despite, because the understanding is with all that stuff that's a distraction, if we're not well, you kind of see where I'm going. Like, what?
It's
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I definitely really feel like it's a cultural and societal thing of where we're living right now, right?
Okay.
It's capitalist based. We're founded in this development of the society, the individual, the making the money, getting that bag, and having this material success, right? And so when that's the priority, that's an external source. We're entirely focused outward. And the only real metric that we're going on for success is how much money do you have? How many things do you have? And how recognized are you by the group at large of being successful, which is the ultimate like value meter of, okay, you're here, right? And so we're entirely focused outward. Very rarely are we inward thinking focused and prioritizing those things. And so it's hard to set aside an hour a day, 7 hours a week, or anything more than that to say, I'm going to stop and I'm going to internalize and I'm going to reflect and I'm going to think about how I spent my day or how I spent my week and what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and how I was engaged and how I'm feeling. And we really don't have time to prioritize that. And until we actually make those accommodations and like shift out and change those priorities, then yeah, it's kind of hard.
You struck something when you said accommodations.
Yeah.
I guess my first thought was there, going back a little bit to the life changes. Like it's taking me forever, but I just have this sense that once I'm taking the steps, it's taking a long time, but because I'm doing it in reality, I'm doing it in being real, at least at this point of where I am on the journey.
Exactly.
And so I'm not rushing in.
Exactly.
And, you know, and the other thing is you set yourself up. I'm getting up for 5 days in a row at 6 a.m. You don't do it on the third day. That feeling of defeat comes in. And then rather than getting up on the fourth day and just start over or continue, okay, I'm going to start again next Monday and start over.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest,
start over.
I'm a, you know, beginning of the week Sunday, on my birthday, a beginning of the year, you know, and so
Or start fresh on Monday.
yeah, and
I'm currently guilty of that too as well, heading back to the gym. And it's like, oh, well, you know, I'll start when the spring comes back into play and it's warmer outside and
yeah,
all the excuses, right? So we're all guilty of doing all of them at any given point. And it really is a high mentality of consistency and accountability when you can get up and start going through and holding yourself. And if you fall off, you get back on.
yeah. It's when I start stuttering, you know, I'm stuck. It's interesting because it is something I am at least, and I've been using this term for the past few weeks, not paradigm, but paramind shift. Because the paradigm around us is going to be what it is.
Yeah, the paradigm is get the money and, you know, go out and do all the things that the world is doing right now for all the different spaces. So we won't get too much into it.
Our minds need to shift toward, I guess, better recognition.
More self-awareness.
I was just going to say better recognizing our self-value, aware, you know, value is wrapped up in awareness and whatnot, but also for the long haul with, and I take it back to a little bit with all that ancestors and we fought for and marched recently and whatnot. We got to be here to see the success. Some things are, you know, offspring and whatnot, they'll see, they'll change, you know, decades from now, whatever. But there's some things that we need to be around to see the fruit of our labor, you know. So even on, we're talking about woke, even on that level of all the advocacy and equity, you got to be here and healthy to see it play out.
Yeah.
You know, so I I just did a little exhale, like I'm a little bit tired. So that means that this was good, because these type of real exchanges in sort of a layman but real approach, I think, are very helpful to folks to remind them, give them self-grace, mix with some accountability. Brother Quincy is in here and he'll hit me randomly. You want to go to the gym? No. If you didn't hit me last week and I didn't I'm not going to no gym on no 8 o'clock.
If I didn't get the mindset right to go engage in this thing, you're not going to get me to go. Yeah.
I'm going to and then I'm one of them superficial folks. I gotta have the right gear, I'm one of them, just like drinking water. Like, it can't just be in a glass, and I'm just being honest, y'all. But no, as we
you gotta have the red gym outfit.
Yeah, bruh. First of all, I'm going to be mad because I probably got to buy a 2X, but no, I'm messing. Brother Obi, Brother Obi, thank you so much for
Hey, I appreciate you, Obi. Thanks for that point. For that plug, actually. Yeah.
In the comments is the link to get to 3 Body Wellness. So please go there and click that. You can get in touch with Brother Karland. He does body work and massage. There's conversation. He has extended massages and a whole lot of other options. Yoga as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm actually thinking about that too. And so, because the term yoga, especially here in the culture, is always associated with kind of doing that studio and the group flow and all that mindfulness. And really, that's a component to it. But especially in the world that I'm trying to establish, it's not that. And so it's more being rebranded as mindful movement or a movement meditation, because at the end of the day, what I want to establish, or what I want to get people to be more introduced to, is not going through the flow of a full hatha yoga flow with the rise and the fall. It's moving through the space that allows you to fully engage with your body, right? From whatever point that you are. So whether it's your first day or whether you're an advanced yoga pose practitioner, you can engage with your body for what you need in that day. Yeah. And so then whether that involves actual movement and holding of poses, or actually doing self-care work more on like hand body work, doing the self-massage, doing stretching and range of motion, and just really engaging with your body on a deeper level, a deeper connection, because a lot of these poses can oftentimes be hard for people, be disadvantageous, because they're forcing their bodies to hold poses or hold positions that they've never held before, or they don't fully understand. And so they're already experiencing pain points, and then they think they have to stay in there because that's what everybody else is doing, or that's what the position requires for. And my thing is, okay, you want to go into this position, you want to learn how to do this thing, your body's not there yet. What are the steps, or what steps can you take? How can you engage with your body to recognize what's happening, what's happened in the past, and then create a new future where you can establish this pose or hold this pose or go into this space that you want to be in. And so I want to shift that mindset of come take yoga with Karland to come be body mindful, or use some movement therapy to really engage on a deeper level and more connected level to really understand what it is that's happening with your body. So that's where I'm kind of shifting and continually like playing with this idea of, is this a yoga class? Is this a yoga series? Or is this more of like a movement series, right? Is this more of an engagement itself and understanding what that is? And then how do I even provide that to somebody else? Because is it, okay, let's go through these poses and follow me and keep up, or okay, let's see where your body's at and how you can engage, and then get you to engage in some different spaces. So, and then there's also a practice of really breathing, which I think is fundamental and vital to any sort of like, we're going to do yoga or we're going to do movement. Are you actually breathing? Are you present to your breath? Are you interacting with that breath and movement on a deeper level of awareness and consistency? because if you don't already have the practice, if you're not comfortable breathing into your diaphragm and expanding your stomach and allowing that breath to allow your entire body to move, then when you're holding these poses, you're holding your breath and you're not breathing into your full body. And so then you're not experiencing that full benefit of seeing what that feels like when you're moving and breathing, and where the restrictions might be, and then how to engage with those restrictions to create new space. So that's why it's such a one-on-one and an engagement thing, and like small class, small group engagement, to really connect people with where they need to be connected, as opposed to saying, all right, everybody, let's move into a warrior pose now, and we'll hold this, and then we'll go into a squat, or we'll do something else. And it's like, bro, I can barely bend over. You want me to do all these poses? Okay, well, let's start with where you can bend over comfortably, and engage in that. So
my first yoga class, I last for about I was keeping up and for about 10 minutes. Once they pulled that block out and turning over and all that, I was laying on the floor.
Yeah.
We got our first. I just want to say to you all, Karland will be very honest about things that he does not know, and I haven't prepped him that we're going to take questions, but I think this one might be an easy one. And Teresa, stop playing. She said, I think my knee do their own version of yoga. They get into position and then stay there.
I appreciate that. And that's real, right? And that's definitely an understanding of like where your capacity is.
Yeah.
But what I will say to that comment is, you're definitely in a pattern, right? You're in a pattern of movement. You're in a pattern of engagement with yourself. And there could be a number of reasons why that is, from the extreme of it being a good thing and like a healthy thing or something that you do that you consider positive, all the way down to the opposite end of it being an extreme negative thing where it's trauma, it's injury, and it's all these things that have restricted that movement. And so this is what I offer with my movement therapy, is doing the breathing exercises, understanding how your body's connected, where oxygen is flowing versus where it's not flowing, doing the hands-on massage, doing the self body work to really engage with that space. I think I might have said it here before, I can't remember, to along the path, and this is not an exact quote, but it's like, pain is a good thing. It tells us when there's danger. It tells us when we need to like stop, or when we can go and kind of test those limits. And then from pain, we oftentimes choose to suffer, right? We choose to suffer through that pain. And I say choose, and people are like, I don't consciously do that. You might not consciously do it. You might subconsciously do it, but suffering is a choice. And so for me, that was a big key thing to really understand very early in the practice, because there are often times that I would be in pain from my knees, from my hips, from my arm, and I would be afraid to go into that pain, right? I would be afraid to engage in that pain because it felt like I was suffering and I was making myself suffer unnecessarily. Whereas I could just avoid it, maybe have the dull pain because I know it's there, but it's not that spiked high pain where I'm just like, oh, this is unbearable. I can't do this. And so I had to get to a place where I was comfortable and I was accepting of the pain in my body, because I was choosing not to suffer from it anymore. And so then I could engage with it to a deeper level of really understanding, okay, this pain stems from X, it stems from Y, it stems from Z. And now because I understand it and I'm not suffering through it anymore, and I'm not like afraid of it, I'm not running from it, I can engage with it to a deeper level. And that allows me to really access the pain point and then get a release through my breathing, through my understanding, and through my willingness to kind of engage with that depth of work. And then once I was able to really do that, I recognized that, oh, the pain is nothing for me to be afraid of and run from. I can actually understand it. I can actually hold it. I can actually push myself to a deeper limit and really get that release that I need from my body. And once you do that on a consistent basis, once you've established that, and once you kind of develop it to a point where it's no longer painful, you'll be amazed at what you can do and how you can change and how you can engage with your body on a deeper level. And, this is another part that I've always kind of wanted to mention that I never really do. Again, it's a process. It's a process, right? It's going to take time. It doesn't happen immediately. And so the body work, the recognition of pain, the willingness to kind of move through those spaces, we're breaking down all these old habits, all these old patterns, and you're really shedding a lot of stuff. And so that's what this practice really is at the initial core of it.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of all the things and create space in order to create the new patterns and like whole space for new things. And so the initial part is breaking down all those things. I've spent 6 years, almost 7 years breaking down all these things, and I'm just now starting to feel really ready and able to really develop some new things on a new consistency of new patterning. So that's what it is. So for your knees, you got to be willing to engage. You got to be willing to test the waters and come back into it.
This one's a little bit different because Miss Teresa, and I'm gonna put her business out there, but Miss Teresa is at the extreme of the issue with the knees, and so she was kind of joking there. But
no, of course, I recognize that too. But
yeah,
even to those, you can still engage back.
To kind of generally hear the concept of that, but this one of the I wrote down a note that we may pick up with next month, pain and suffering, and have a conversation about that, because when you said that suffering is a choice, I was like, I saw my head go, wait, what? And so I think we're going to go a little bit deeper into that. Look, I'm doing better now, Karland. I'm actually putting down notes from next month.
Nice.
Versus texting you at 8:20 in the morning. Anyway, we're going to get
it's okay.
I appreciate you, man. And we're going to get at some point where we get ready to get Karland, like him and I together, because it's very different face to face. So look forward to that hopefully soon. Y'all pray for this building. But don't forget that Obi put the link here. It's in the comments, so it's actually, rather than me putting on the screen, you can go to the comment right there and click the link to go check out the services, the body work, the mindful movement. I was going to say mindful mobility, but the mindful movement
that works too.
He's talking about. But go check him out there at the website. And Brother Karland will be back with us. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna open up my calendar right now. That will be April 19th, the third Wednesday. You're one of the few that stayed consistent with your Wednesdays. The mayor switched and somebody else. So thank you, brother, for being consistent on the third Wednesday, sir. But we'll check with Brother Karland. And don't forget, go check out the website, check him out, and go check him out. Like literally make an appointment and go check him out. Brother Karland, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate your patience. And I think we did pretty well for just, this morning. Imagine.
Hey, listen, if they don't know and it doesn't,
I know
they can't tell it, it's all good. So it works.
Well, now they know. So I'll keep my mouth shut.
Right. Now they know.
Brother, I thank you,
man.
You're
telling on yourself.
I know. I'm sometimes too transparent for my good. I'll be in touch and text you. And thank you, man. I appreciate you.
No, thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate the opportunity to talk and get more comfortable with this this whole new lifestyle, right? This social media world that we live in.
I'm gonna leave that alone. Based on off my screen, Brother Karland. And I'll talk to you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
All right. Later, brother.
All right. Listen, y'all, look forward to next month chatting with this brother even more so. I like the approach to woke wellness. It's a different sort of approach. And so I'm glad he was able to be here this morning. I'm glad that you all are here. Tomorrow, I wanted to let you all know, I don't know if it's the first, y'all know I like first, but I am bringing to the Java family and to the city of Boston our sister that is coming to be a part to be the inaugural executive director of I'm getting my notes together over here, the Greater Roxbury Arts and Cultural Center. They have their new founding executive director that is going to be overseeing all of the wonderful work there. And so I just wanted to let you know that tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we are going to have Tanisha Nash Laird, who's going to be with us and talk about the vision of the Greater Roxbury Arts and Cultural Center that is going down in Nubian Square very soon. Well, the next few years. And so that's our guest for tomorrow. Next Monday, we'll have Dr. Brandy. On Tuesday, I'm not sure yet. Next week, we will kind of delve into some of the anniversary stuff and maybe just some recaps and favorite episodes and stuff like that. I do finally have a venue for the anniversary next Saturday. We are going to be at the Brook Charter School on American Legion Highway. This will be a ticketed event. I'm not trying to break y'all, but there will be a ticketed event. You will need to purchase tickets to attend. We're going to have some food, the Red Cup Awards, prayerfully, Jesus, because I need to let folks know who, I need to let the awardees know who they are. Anyway, we're getting there, y'all. All right. So come see us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Please plan to come out next Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Brook Charter School on American Legion Highway. They have parking, and they also, it's ADA compliant as far as for our seniors to be able to get to the restroom, elevator, stairs, and stuff like that. So that's it for me this morning. Again, I appreciate our brother Karland. Tag somebody that you know is getting on that wellness journey and say, hey, check out this episode of Java with Jimmy around woke wellness. All right. And Misha, you're good. Better late than never, right? All right, guys. This Tashad. Oh, thank you. And Leslie said, heal and power. Listen, I just think of the word physician, heal thyself. So we have the power to do it through eating. And it's last weekend, y'all, I messed up. I had gummies 2 days in a row. I had chips 3 days in a row. So yeah, now I got 2 different versions of kale. I got a salad out there with kale, shredded Brussels sprouts, carrots, red cabbage, kidney beans, kale, I said kale, spinach, arugula. What else is in there? I'm trying to cheat, put everything up in a salad. All right. The weekends are a problem for me. Oh, hopefully. Oh, the weekends. I thought you meant you couldn't come next Saturday. The weekends are real hard to shot. And especially like when it's getting ready to snow or you had a hard week. Like I recognize that if I have a hard day or a hard week, my first go-to is like, I need some gummies. And so got to be aware of stuff like that. All right, folks, I'm going to get off of here. Thank all of you for joining this morning. Don't forget, Brother Karland will be back with us on next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, actually, Mayor Wu will be with us next Wednesday, March 22nd. March 22nd, 2023. All right, that's it for me. We will see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a great day. Peace, everybody.